it'd be great to kind of get on and, give you an inside look about what it takes, what we do, answer any questions, people may have. We will, obviously some things are confidential for contract purposes, but we can definitely try to answer as much as possible. With us is obviously Holly, Nikki, myself. We are the directors of QFX events. We have Ria, who is a staff member, and then we have Amber and Jill. And
Team
Jamber, Team Jamber. And then we have Kimmy, who's our amazing tech person who is streaming this for us. So there's a little intro. Holly, take it away first, because you love.
You asked me to take it away. I'm the one who talks a lot. I'm the one who talks a lot. First, can everyone hear us? Everyone can hear us? Yes? Okay, looks like there's about a 5-second delay, which is about normal. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, let's do it. I love talking. But do I love talking? So for those of you that don't know us, I've known Mel and Nikki. We've known each other for about 5 years now. And Ria too. And we've worked together professionally before, and we're also pretty good friends. And then we met Amber and Jill through a mutual friend, and they're amazing. And then it just kind of snowballed, and amazing people said, hey, let's do it. Let's have fun. So, if you didn't watch the opening ceremony from this morning, do that later if you can, because you got a little bit of a background on how we got started with QFX and how it was born and how we've pivoted and all of that stuff. But this, I think, I'll let Nikki chat too, but it's really going to be kind of a Q&A. One thing that we are all kind of, one thing we share in common is that we feel that there are, there's room for multiple spaces in the queer world. We need places that are accessible. We need places that we can come together, whether it's virtually or in person, to make sure we still have that community that we need. And if it's convention planning that we have to do virtually for the next, 18 months or more, we want to kind of give tips or answer questions on how maybe you can do that on your own level, or even just if it's, getting together, friend events or anything of that. And a lot goes into events. Even when I used to do like weddings and birthdays and other like events, it's just, even if you're doing something for 45 people, there's so much that goes into it. And we're happy to share some of that knowledge. We don't think knowledge should be proprietary or owned or secret. Things we cannot talk about, we will tell you. And this is for anyone who is curious about what goes on and how much work's involved, and or people that want to do this in the future. So yeah, that's my little bit. Nikki, Ria, Jamber, anyone?
What goes into planning an event? Drinking, lots of drinking. Cheers.
I left my wine bottle in the other room.
Coffee. A lot of coffee goes into it too.
Lots of coffee.
So I'll just start, like, if anyone is serious about doing an event in particular, like business or personal, you have to have a good team. If you don't have a good team, like one person cannot do anything. 2 people cannot do all of this. We have a team of about 20 dedicated, amazing people. For bigger events and for big endeavors, you're going to need a big team that you trust, and you're going to need a big team that can pick up the slack when you have real life come in, or if you have something that happens in your family, or you have to work. Most of these people on staff have full-time jobs, so it's not something that a small team can do long term. For one thing, yes, but not long term.
Also, planning a convention is not as you can't take it super lightheartedly. It's definitely something that you have to really focus on and really have time to dedicate to it, because it doesn't just fall into place. It's a lot of background work and a lot of hard work that goes on that the public doesn't see, like a lot of back and forth, a lot of conflicts, and a lot of issues that you have to overcome to kind of put it together.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like I know people think, all right, so you ask a guest, you get a venue, you sell tickets, and that's it. And it's there's a lot more that goes into it. There's a lot more in each section that goes into it. You know, it's not as simple as asking a guest. There's so many things that go into actually securing a guest for a convention. It's not just about getting a venue. There's a whole bunch of different things with venues. Is it big enough? Can it handle your event? You know, do they
Fire
have the right
marshal,
insurance? Which is
fire marshal codes.
fire marshal codes.
Floor
Um,
plans.
floor plans. Does the floor plan work for you? Room blocks. Do they have enough rooms for your event?
Is it
Do they want to
accessible?
host your event?
Can you afford it?
Can you afford your event? You know, are they giving you an event space? Do you have to pay for it? I mean, it's just so many working parts. And I think
Is the city queer friendly or anything like, you know, not just queer friendly, does it have transportation? You know, like we actually went with Tampa for a number of reasons. Tampa is very queer friendly. The venue is all on one floor. It's accessible. There's a trolley system that's free that can get you from one end of the city to another that everyone, regardless of mobility, can use. So like these are things that we took into consideration. Like not every convention will take accessibility in consideration, but it's something very important.
yeah,
The actual like Tampa, where you know it might be a little bit more expensive to fly to Tampa, the room rates we're able to get for the weekends we're able to get them are more accessible. There's no formula, but it's so many things you have to take into consideration. You could have 15 great things about something, but if you don't have an accessible space or if it's too expensive, you're losing out on, you know, a lot of attendees or potential attendees. So there's a lot.
yeah. Like when we chose Tampa, I mean, we went down there multiple times. We rode the trolley system multiple times. We got off and walked to see the stops. I mean, it's not just about picking a location. You have to research that location, like up and down before you sign that contract at the venue.
Site visits, yeah, site visits. Like we were actually the Hilton in Tampa. We were greeted by their staff on our first site visit. They both had pride pins on.
Yes.
It was the reservations manager who helps us with the room blocks and stuff, and then it was also the
Events manager.
it was the events manager, and then it was he was the chef basically. Just that would he's like the in-house chef, and he wanted to you know they both had pride like the Tampa pride pins on, and I mean it was just kind of like okay we made a good decision. And then from there, I mean, we had our meetings. We went over the pricing for everything, and then we went around town because if you're not in a good location, if you're not in an accessible location, if you're in a location that's not easily affordable, I mean, we're not just talking about the affordability of the rooms. You know, are there locations close enough where people can go off site and get something to eat that's affordable? Because hotel restaurants aren't affordable. So like
Yeah.
we actually like, and this is something that, you know, there's just so much. I mean,
This is like a very small glimpse of what actually goes in when you're choosing the venue if we're starting on right now. So most definitely when it comes to that, we'd recommend if you can or if you have a staff that live in the area, send them down there, get information, walk around the area, go into local businesses, see if they're willing to work with you, see what their pricing is like. Don't just use the website and kind of look everything over. Call them, talk to them. I spoke to the events manager several times before we even got a contract going. So don't just do the research online typing. Call people, talk to people, go speak to them in person if you can.
here's a tip for anyone. If you pick a city, like we're not going to tell you what city to pick because it's going to be based on your needs, but pick a city and find 3 or 4 venues and tell them all that you're working with another venue because you are technically, it's not lying, and they will be competitive on your behalf. They want your business. There are some hotels that have food and beverage minimums. California is a very, very, very difficult state to do conventions in. I applaud anyone that's able to pull it off, but there are very few locations in California where they offer you a very low food and beverage minimum. And if you can't meet that, you go in the red. And the last thing that any convention wants to do is do anything, they don't want to go in the red. And it's easy to go in the red.
So I'm just going to interject. I don't know if people know what food and beverage minimum is. That's another thing to talk about. Yeah.
Okay, so food. So there are two ways. I mean, this is stuff that you will learn on your own. Like, we're just being transparent. If anyone wants to put on a queer event or an event if you want to do a wedding, this is helpful. And it's not about competition. We feel like knowledge should be spread, within reason. There are some things we can't talk about for legal reasons, but a food and beverage minimum is something that a hotel will say you and all of your people together over the weekend have to spend $50,000 on food and alcohol, or food and beverage. If you do that, we'll give you the space for, a very small amount. If you don't meet that food and beverage minimum, you have to pay it after the event. So like, you need to make sure if there's a food and beverage minimum that you can't afford after the event, if you don't make it, that's a contract you shouldn't sign.
Yes.
And then there's also, there are other ways that, to get around most first time events. If they don't know who you are, if you don't have if you don't have any traction in the event world, whether it's wedding planning or conventions or whatever, you will have to pay a food and beverage minimum, or you will have to sign for a food and beverage minimum or something similar. It's just, there's no way around it. If you're not Wizard World, they're not going to give you free space. So.
Yeah, you gotta pretty much earn your stripes. You gotta put on an event and you gotta show them you're profitable and that you get people to come to your event. And then you have more leeway if you want to book that same venue or even in the chain,
Profitable for them, not for us. Not for us.
Profitable for them. It's always about them.
We already have a question, but real quick, I wanted to Kimmy's awesome. She's putting stuff in the chat.
Yeah, she's putting it. We can't see a lot of the questions because we are talking to
I look at them, but I real quick, I wanted to just delve into just really quick Team Jamber, Jill and Amber and Rhea. So Jill and Amber do a couple of they do different things. They do our promo videos. We just had a promo video came out at the end of last week, beginning of this week. They do a lot of behind the scenes, like for on-site, filming, pretty much our AV team. And then Amber does some other, secretive things that, she can't tell you, or she'd have to and then Rhea is, you're our assignment ninja, which is her official title. But, basically I joke around, like, it's kind of like, how you have someone that's clutch, she's like our clutch, one of our clutches. She's very good with spreadsheets. You cannot do this without spreadsheets. If you don't know how to do spreadsheets, I didn't know how to do spreadsheets. Oh my God, it took me like a good bit to learn spreadsheets.
Life.
Yeah, but I just wanted to give people, like, I know that Mel and Nikki and I will probably do a lot of the chatting just because we're the directors, but it really is a team effort, and I don't want us to overshadow the stuff that they do, because it's stuff that we can't do, or that we need them for, or that they enjoy doing. So yeah.
I want to interject really quick and just say, I feel like you alluded to like I'm in the CIA or something. That's not the case.
I mean, even if she was, she couldn't say.
Yeah, even if I was, I couldn't say, but I'm just saying that for now.
Yeah. So we're not getting, like, I think people are taking the cue from before and waiting to the end for the questions, but we do have a question. After spending so much time planning the real event and having to put brakes on and starting planning a new virtual event must have had challenges. Was there anything that actually became easier to do virtually?
I think virtual was way harder than planning our brick and mortar for sure.
My job was easier.
Yeah. I feel like ours was easier.
I mean, so we've actually, I know for me, like, thinking, I was flying home March 3rd on a plane from Los Angeles, and the beginning of March is when things started getting kind of bad with COVID. It actually didn't even have, I think, like a technical name at that point. There was nothing really, there was no testing. It was just really early. I was like, this is not going to be good. And we might have to really start thinking about options. So on the way home, that was next to the lady I was on the flight next to. She was sick and she didn't have a mask on. I was like, all right, well, it'll be fine. And I, thank goodness thing is sick. But that whole plane ride, it's like a 4-hour plane ride. And I was like, what can we do? How can we do it? How many people will we need? Will we need more? Will we need less? How's it going to work? Should we do new contracts? Should we reach out to new people? Should we do panels only? Should we do one-on-one? Like all this stuff, just mile a minute. And we just started talking like that week, and we figured, it was something we could do. But I will say one thing, and this is something I feel very passionately about, and I think everyone that is kind of on this side of things will agree. It is very, very difficult if you want to do a virtual event, before you announce, you should already be talking to agents, because you can have a virtual event for just friends and fun and games and all kinds of like really cool things. But if you want to have a celebrity driven event, you want to start those conversations now. Like you can't wait until the last minute. They need to get a chance to know you. And that's something very important. Like I feel so. Sponsors. So someone said, and this, I can't on my phone. Nick, yeah. Sponsors and donations. So I'm gonna just real quick. Sorry, sponsors, absolutely. And we've had a very big challenge with sponsors, because you should reach out to sponsors about a year before your event. And for QFX East, like we don't feel like it's appropriate to reach out to sponsors right now because there are so many things closed down. So we're kind of like pivoting to partnerships. If partnering with media, having media sponsors, partnering with smaller outlets that just maybe want to swap, shout outs. Big sponsors absolutely help. They make all the difference. Big sponsors usually, they're hard to obtain during COVID. So I'll just say that. Y'all take over. I got a message. Sorry. This is planning.
Rhea, you want to talk about
spreadsheets?
Your spreadsheets and organization? And
oh man, spreadsheets.
You've had a lot of different hats, Rhea.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I guess like for me, spreadsheets, the first thing I think about is like, what kind of questions do I want answered? And that's why before I put something together, I ask it all these questions. What do you want? What is this for? Who's going to need it? Who needs to see it? What am I going to give you? What story is this going to tell? And then I run with it. We have a lot of color codes. So everyone
color coding of spreadsheets. Woo, I love them, but except they get mad at me because I'll do all kinds of colors that only I know, and I won't give anyone a legend. And everyone's like,
I know.
What's going on? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I just real quick from Nikki. Okay, so Rexus. Is that you, Alexis?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's Alexis.
I think it's Alexis. First step, once you have a solid plan, is it funding or? So
good question.
Define solid plan. Like that's so. I mean, no, because that, like, seriously, yeah,
like what stage? Because there's a lot of things you kind of informally discuss before like putting it together. So, I mean, a solid plan actually doesn't come until like much later down the line. So
like, I know Alexis. Alexis is one half of Latinx Geeks, and I think I miss you, and you're right down the street. Literally, you should come like quarantine, like self-quarantine, and come see me. But if you have like an idea, we'll call that the plan. If you have an idea and say, you know what, I want to have 200 people come together for a D&D, event, a small whatever. I mean, I know people that do conventions anywhere from 50 people all the way up to 10,000. So it just depends on what you want to do. If you do not have the bandwidth, meaning if you don't have the team that's big enough to pull off a 10,000 person event, which please do not even try to start with a 10,000 person event. We all know how that's worked. I'm not going to name any conventions, but there's one on the East Coast that shot a little too high. You should not shoot. You should be realistic about it. Someone said it keeps cutting in and out pretty badly. Can everyone else see us okay? I want to see if it's our connection or y'all's. Okay.
Yeah, is it us, everyone, or is it potentially the other? connection.
Kimmy said my feed is fine. Winnie's good. Okay, so try to refresh and come back in. So I would say like your plan. When you say solid plan, that's really like the equivalent of an idea, because when we started, we had connections, we had each other, we had our team, we had our moral support, but the solid plan doesn't really come in until you get into the thick of logistics. So the biggest thing is making sure you can afford what you're going to do. And sometimes you might really luck out, excuse me, with the hotel. And they'll say, you know what, sell 100 rooms and we'll give you this room, for free for the weekend. So solid plan really does involve a lot of back-end research. So, I mean, you can ask specific questions. It's just so hard to answer that question, if that makes sense.
There's a lot of negotiating too. I definitely recommend you having a thick skin and not taking the first offer or answer that is given. Do your research, try to, and come back and counter. There's a lot of back and forth that goes on in all aspects. So you have to be comfortable really being able to talk with people and kind of, stand your ground, but also not try to push too hard. It's kind of an art in negotiating when it comes to conventions.
I don't negotiate because I say yes to everything. So, I mean, not everything, but I will say though, and then I'm going to let them talk more because I have the tendency to talk a little too much, but where you look and where you research and who you reach out to is going to depend on the kind of answer you get back. And I'm going to give you just a real life scenario. When we were looking in Florida, we actually looked into Orlando. And Orlando, they wanted it was an obscene food and beverage minimum. I mean, we're talking like 6 figures, like no way we could afford it. And Tampa is 80 miles away. And the reason they're able to say no to that or say, hey, we want 200 grand is because it is a resort town. People will come from all over the world to go to Disney World. Mm-hmm. So Orlando was pretty much out because they know that they're not going to make money giving a convention free space because they know there's going to be someone else that comes in and pays for it. So we went to Tampa, which is actually more gay friendly. And people can still go visit Disney World when they come to QFX East. And we were able to get the answers that we got were night and day. I mean, Mel will tell you, Mel's the one who negotiated the contract. It was just like
I'm not gonna lie. I had my helmet on. I was ready to go to town, and I didn't really have to. Let's put it that way. They were great. Tampa's great. Like, it's wait until whoever's coming. Just wait until you see the area, you see the hotel, the staff. I mean, it's just scooters. Oh yeah, they have the scooters. We've talked about it in our streams and
we're gonna get them to sponsor us.
Yeah,
we're gonna get y'all some scooter discounts. We have a question about Nikki. I'm sure you see it. A lot of cons I see lists don't typically include leads of show. Do you hold on? Do you think this is because they are more money to book? We have that answer. We can kind of go into it, but Nikki, do you want to answer or do you want me to?
It's not all financials. I mean, don't get me wrong, that comes into the equation definitely. Like, we're not going to spend $100,000 on a lead if we know we're not going to be able to come up with that money. But it also has to do with like availability, exclusivity contracts, agents, like whether or not we have a connection to their agent. Like, oftentimes you'll find that sending a cold email is hard to get a response for. There's not many agents that are at high level agencies that'll respond to you without somebody giving them a heads up beforehand, because they probably get a million emails a day. We've gotten very lucky with the talent that we work with. We have a good rapport and working relationship with the agents from previous events. And because of that, it's a small world in the business. So agents typically know each other. And so even if we haven't worked with a certain agent, if we work with another agent, they're usually sometimes friends or know of another person's agent. So it's all like a network tree kind of thing. And that's kind of how we we base what talent we're gonna get. We reach out to everybody. It's just whether or not they respond to us and it's feasible to do financially or just by getting responses.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. I want to interject, and I say this all the time, and I here's an exclusive for everybody here. There's a lot more into it than just asking somebody to come to your convention.
It's also, I want to, what Nikki said times 1,000, but there are two other facets to it. If you notice, Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, they sometimes get people that no one else gets. And it's not because they make money there. It's not because they don't want to come to these smaller cons. It's that sometimes people are in contracts with their production company. So I'm going to use an example. Let's just say Jericho. Jericho's off the air, so I'm not giving away anything, whatever. Let's just say, they wanted the cast, the lead from Jericho to be at QFX. Let's just say we want them at QFX. We're just going to get a really hard, immediate no, because their production contract sometimes states that they cannot make any personal appearances outside of official commercially produced events. So you have some people that are going to always be at San Diego Comic-Con. They're going to always be at New York Comic-Con, but that's because they go with the cast to promote. They do the free signings with the lotteries. They don't get paid by New York Comic-Con. They get paid by the people that sponsor them to go, which is usually their production company. So it's really just not going to happen sometimes. I mean, people can ask all they want. There are just some people that are unobtainable if they are in contract with a specific production company. The other thing I will sorry, go ahead.
There's just sometimes we reach out to them and their agents will tell us they just don't like doing conventions, like the flat no answer. And it's because they have I don't know, they don't prefer being, if it's not a big convention, like for example San Diego Comic-Con, where they just go for the panels and sometimes they'll do a free signing and then they'll go and do their press and then leave, versus a smaller convention where the purpose of those, really aside from the panels, is to do fan experiences. Some of them just don't particularly like profiting off of their fans and they just want to do something like do a panel for them and then bounce. Like sometimes they just don't like having to charge for certain things. Like I've talked to guests that don't like charging people for selfies or like autographs, and that they'd much rather just give it to their fans instead of charging like $40 for something.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I was going to say is that there are some people that can come, and this is very, very, it's very few. Like we're saying like it's a handful of people. But let's use an example. Let's just say we want Lady Gaga to come. Okay. Let's say Lady Gaga costs $100,000 for the weekend. Okay. There comes a point where math just is not going to work in the attendees' favor or our favor. Like we know everyone would love to meet Lady Gaga and we would love to have Lady Gaga. But in order for us to reach that $100,000, like that's not how much she costs. I'm just saying, like, this is an example. In order for us to reach that amount of money, so we don't go into a significant debt, we either have to charge attendees $500 a photo, or we have to have her work 4 days straight, 8 hours a day. And neither one of those scenarios are ever going to work because it's not accessible financially, and it's not fair to ask a guest to come in and work their tail off for something that they sometimes do want to offer for free. And that's a massive, massive thing when it comes to guests. Like it's great. We love it. We love Lady Gaga. But at some point math just doesn't work. And that's important to note. That's all.
That's
I hope that
important
makes
in mind when you're thinking of who you want to bring to your con. It's not about the name. It's not about, we have this person. You got to think of the math. Always do the math several times. And then, go back and do it again.
Yeah. Like, unless you're going to have an 80,000 person event, there's no way to afford someone that costs that much unless you're willing to either go into the debt personally or willing to go into red your first year or any year.
Or charge your attendees an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah. So that's really, I mean, it's really important for us because, you know, we don't want tickets to be, I mean, we could get it in gate sales. Like gate sales are the tickets that we sell. That gate sales, they go to pay your hotel bill. They go to pay your food and beverage bill if you don't meet it. They go to pay your EOBs, which are event order banquets, or BEOs, banquet event orders. Like the gate sales, to be an accessible con, you have to keep them low. You can make them $1,000 a ticket if you want Lady Gaga to come, but how many people are going to come for $1,000 a ticket? That's not fair. So anyway, that's all I'd say about that.
Jamber, anything?
Want to talk about production or anything?
They're talk about production and, like, you know, behind the scenes footage, how that goes. A good AV team.
But Nikki, what did you say?
I say you can ask them how to run a convention and how to put on a web series.
Yeah.
Well, I was just actually going to throw in like a parallel to kind of like movie producing. It's kind of a similar thing where, you know, you might want this actor who's, you know, been in a lot of stuff and is really amazing at what they do, but they cost, you know, they're like a blockbuster celebrity, but your film might only be, you know, like a low budget movie that it's only $100,000. You're not going to be able to afford that person. Or they're, you know, doing they have other, you know, films and stuff that they're doing schedule wise, so they're not available. I didn't realize how much it paralleled with like what we're doing too, you know. But yeah, behind the scenes stuff, video stuff.
It's a lot. It's a lot of planning, but then stuff kind of goes out the window when it actually happens. You can plan as much as you want, but you'll never know if like suddenly a talent's like somewhere they shouldn't be, or like they're like
or they're supposed to be somewhere and you're like, wait, where are they?
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't happen, but sometimes it happens, and like you kind of just have to like think on your feet, and you just got to go. Luckily, because it's virtual, I haven't really had to do much.
And I'll say that, like, at the very beginning, we're like, we don't need AV. We don't need fancy AV. Yeah, don't worry about it.
So
oh my
many
gosh.
things. So many things. I was like,
here's why it's so important, and they're going to tell you too. I only know a part of it, but without pictures, without video, you don't have footage to build your press kit for the following year. You don't have you need to capture what you're doing, and you also need to promote your event beforehand. And if you don't have the money, like you have to send press releases cost a lot of money to send. You need to get the word out there. If you don't have word of mouth, you know, you need to get word of mouth by producing a catchy video with, you know, a good production team to make sure it happens, unless you want to pay. What did you say?
A catchy song.
Catchy song.
Very catchy song.
I mean, and Jill and Amber can speak more about why it's so important, because that's their area. But like on our end of things, we're like, but then it's like, whoa, wait. No, we need to revisit that because we got to figure it out. You know, we need to make sure it gets out there.
Yeah, it's kind of like that thing where it's like, show me the proof or it didn't happen. Like, we're the proof. Like, we're like taking the proof that like this con happened and it went well.
And it's so awesome and fun, you know.
That being said, it's a lot easier to do content for stuff the second year or the third year, because the first year you don't have anything. Like, we can like, that's been my challenge for QFX, is like, this is our first year con, so it's like, how do you
all of our promo videos, and you have to use what little we have.
Stock footage or like
but it's okay though, right? Like it's okay because like we have producer brains in the sense of like, okay, we don't have this, but like here's an alternative we can do or whatever. Because we know, like with our backgrounds, we know that content is always so important to an audience, because they want to feel like they're there even though this convention hasn't happened, but they've been to other conventions, or they've been to other concerts, or they've been to other events, so they know what it's like and they can kind of fill it in. But people are always looking to connect and find other people who, you know, like the similar things that they do. So
I mean, it's like AV is a multifaceted thing, because it's like you need to get people's attention to like be even interested in this thing, and then you need to, once it happens, you need to be able to film it, and if you can, live stream it for the people that unfortunately can't come, so they can feel like they were there and they're part of the community, which they are. And then after the fact, you have to make this thing for the people that were there that maybe don't remember the whole con, because it flew by. It was a blur. Because I mean, we've all been to cons. Like, you don't remember every second. So that's what our job is to like capture every second and then make it kind of feel how it was when you were there. Just kind of like, I remember that. That was dope.
What's crazy too is that like, we're talking about behind the scenes content, we're talking about social media content. We're not even talking about, you know, setting up the cameras and all that stuff for where the panels are going to happen, and having a videographer running around trying to grab, you know, B-roll of people. Those are two separate things, but they do go hand in hand with each other, and they're just as important. So what Holly was saying about they weren't going to, no, we don't need to film, we don't need to do that for any of the panels, we're good, it's all fine. And we're like, no. People need to see that this happened, and they need to feel like they're there, and you know, all that other stuff. Yeah.
And honestly, it was coming from a place of, okay, first year con, let's not bite off more than we can chew. And we're like, no, here's where we can cut things. And we realized very quickly there's really no area, if you want to do a good event, that you can cut. You can't cut on good merch. You need to make sure your merch is like well made, even though we didn't get merch because we haven't had our event, you know, for you know, in person. But you know, you can't cut AV because you need it for the next year to promote. You can't really cut your budget for the hotel or for guests or for any of this, because it's, you know, it's just not doable. There's so many things that go into it, and you just can't cut them. And it seemed like in the beginning it would be, okay, it's one less thing to worry about, but you just have to do it.
No, you can cut what they try to upsell you at the hotel, though.
Well, that's
like the real pretty lightings. Yeah. No.
What did it went from all right, we're just gonna do minimum, and then it was like, Jill, what's a realistic budget?
Yeah. Also having people that know budgets. Like I knew about AV and about how much, you know, what about you know, this amount of money we'll get. And then we're like, but do we really know how much things? Because you have also, and Jill and Amber will tell you, you have some cities and states that are union based. So it means you can't bring any of your own stuff in, or you can't set any of your stuff up. You have to use their house stuff. And if they set it up, it doesn't matter if they work 10 minutes or 4 hours, you're getting billed for that 4 hours. So you have to think about union stuff. You have to think about, you know, your equipment versus renting equipment versus, we had one place that we've worked with. If you owned the equipment and it was in your name, like somehow you had it like a car registered, I don't know, then you could use it and set it up. But if you didn't, you had to use the house equipment. It's just every venue is different.
Yeah. Like with budgets, it just Holly said, is it cheaper
I just want to answer a question real quick. It's been sitting here. HomeCon cancel its virtual Pride event. Did they contact you guys to help fill in that void? Actually, no. We actually announced that we were doing this for Pride Month back in March. Was it March or the end of April? Is when we officially postponed to 2021, when we put our new dates out. With that statement, we let our attendees know that we were going to be putting on a virtual event, because we thought, well, maybe we can do it the same weekend that QFX East was supposed to happen. But we're like, well, no, let's do it for Pride Month. So we've actually, that was announced by us back in either late April or beginning of May.
Yeah, it was before they announced.
Yeah. But I mean, they were the first. They did a great job. I don't know why they're not doing a Pride one, but that's that's a we did announce it, but again, it's about reaching the masses. No one knew that we existed. So how are you guys doing the cool templates? Can you talk about the process for streaming and making it look good? Kimmy is not here. She can't talk.
Kimmy's actually the one streaming this and making sure that the audio and the video looks as good as it does. Like you need that kind of tech background person to do this while you're doing the panels. Like you need that. You need somebody who knows what they're doing, who can create those cool little overlays, who knows OBS, who knows how to do Twitch. You need that. Bottom line, you need somebody like that. So thank you to Kimmy, thank you to G, who's the other person doing it. Ria's done stuff for us too. Like you need those strong people.
Yeah, Kimmy is a rock star. So is G. So is everyone on this team. They are. I was telling someone earlier today, like I could buy everyone on. And I will never have the money to do this, but which I shouldn't say that because that means I am attracting bad things. But if I had all the money in the world, I could buy every single person on staff like a Ferrari, and I still don't feel like it would be enough to show what I actually feel gratitude-wise to everyone that's putting in the work they're doing. Like it's just, I mean, Kimmy, everyone is just amazing. But I went to G about a month ago. I was like, look, all I need you to do is learn Twitch. And she's like, got it. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, but I don't know. Like, I'm happy to help, but like, there's for internet reasons, we needed someone that had good service. And then Kimmy she just like, all right, I got you. Like, I'll do layers. I have all my profiles set up. I have no idea. Like my dog is in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. That's Finley. If you want to say hi to him, she did this like, like, oh, look what I got,
Yeah, she just comes out with this awesome intro and outro thing, and we're like, what? Like, that's amazing. So that's the secret. The secret is a good kind of producer. You need a good producer of your panels.
Yeah, Finley is adorable. We missed a question up here. Hang on, it was, have you ever had terrible experiences with talent? If so, how did you handle it? You don't have to name names. I can tell you, I'll answer, we'll go round table. It's a round table.
Oh, we all, okay.
I have not had one bad experience at a convention, but in my personal life, I have had a shitty experience with one, and I don't mind dropping names, but we can come back to that later. In the convention world, no, but I will say that for the most part, if you ever have a bad experience at a convention from a celebrity, it's 9 times out of 10 usually because they have inappropriate fans that won't leave them alone. So that's all I'll say about that. But I've never had personally a bad experience at a convention.
Yeah, I mean, people have good days, people have bad days. I mean, it's the same as if you go to work or you go somewhere, like things can happen. You have to roll with it. Like the most successful I think a convention can be is that the front of the house has no idea what's going on in the back of the house. That's pretty much it.
Like I can confidently tell you 100% every single person on our lineup, both for CloudCon and QFX East, are like the best people ever I've like worked with. But outside of the convention world, yeah, I've definitely had some bad experience with celebrities.
Same. I mean, it's again, good days, bad days.
Ria, Jamber?
They've all been good experiences, and they've all been at conventions. And I always like to remind myself that like they're just like us. They just took a different path in life with their career, and like we just really love what they do. And so that's what I like to remind myself. But yeah, it's always been great experiences.
Yeah, we're not being PC about this. It literally, like, we have not had bad experiences in professional life. Like, I haven't anyway. I don't think Mel, Jamber, I mean, this is kind of your
convention wise, no, but production wise, yeah.
Exactly.
A little different.
No,
but outside, yeah.
I mean, look, you have to
they want you to drop the name, Holly. They want
I will because this is also really important. If you ever want to do this, you need to be professional. You need to make sure that you have everyone on your team sign NDAs. You need to make sure that everyone that you have to have their roommates sign NDAs. You need to make sure that you're able to conduct your business without having to worry about what you're talking about. So my this was a personal experience, but honestly, I don't want to ruin people's heroes, for them. Mm-hmm. But I will say that it was recently in the news. That's all I can really say. Like it was.
On that, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, I think pretty much everyone on this call has interacted with that person, but professionally, it's just not something good. Agents could be watching this feed. They could be watching what you're asking. It's just really not a good look to ever really call someone out, even if they are like,
It's very easy to get blacklisted in the industry. Let's just leave it at that.
mhm. And I want to say one thing, because I am talking a lot. I want to let more people talk, and I'm gonna but one really important thing about this, and everybody here, like meaning the people on this chat, like the queer community is already marginalized for many reasons, and then within that community there are so many different identities, and there's just a lot under the queer umbrella. And the one thing that I would suggest, if you're watching this, you're probably here because you identify as some type of person under that rainbow. If not, it's cool. You're still welcome as long as you're not a dick. But it's really, 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 really important for you to be transparent with your attendees and to be communicative and to not make hasty decisions, to consult to your business partners, to make sure you are doing things for the right reasons and doing them um, with the morals that you live with in your personal life. Like if you have business partners, like everyone here on this chat, like I trust, and we work very well together. It's not always rainbows. We have like little disagreements. We have issues that come up. But when it comes to making sure that we are open and honest with our attendees, that is I would say 90% of what will make a successful entity in the long run. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life. If you are honest and open and communicative with your attendees, with your fans, with each other, you are not going to you're going to go further than you would if you closed off communication. And it's very, very important. Like we have refunds that still haven't been, like done, and we're relying on another company to do those. So we need to answer emails. We need to make sure people know that, we are working on this. But it's more about answering emails. It's also about, treating people, the way you'd want your grandma to be treated. And that is, I'm just going to say it like 15 more times. It is the most important thing I feel like I've learned in the past 6 months. Like it's very important. And I think everyone here would agree.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if you're going to go into business with people, to make it an odd number. That way, if like, we're like going with the majority, it's never like two people and two people on opposite sides. That way there's like somebody that could do the tiebreaker, which doesn't always work out for us three because we're always like, I don't care, I'll go with the majority vote. And then it's like,
except for badges, but that's whatever. I wanted to mail out badges like, Comic-Con does, because I wanted to be customer service. And Nikki and Mel were like, no, not first year. No way. And I'm like, and I tried to like my case and I almost had it, but then honestly, it's good that we didn't, because we'd have to do it all over again because of COVID. But it's also the other thing that is very important. There are so many people doing so many things that you also like, this is a passion project right now. We want to be able to one day say we create jobs for people in the community. It's a passion project for people. People aren't getting paid. You need to make sure that you show appreciation to your employee, or not, they're not employees, they're not paid, but like, thank yous. I could never send enough thank yous like to people. I just really like, I can't, like I just can't even explain it. I'm sorry. I'm getting all sentimental now. Let me stop.
Yeah, she's getting all sentimental.
Hey, we love you too.
If you want to do something like this, you can do it. You just need to find your group of people, and y'all can do anything. Like I'm seriously getting like all like sentimental and sad. Like
well, it's you have a point. Like I think the most successful team are the ones that each have their own kind of strengths to bring. Like Holly will sit there and we'll talk about things and we'll be like, all right, well, how about this? Well, if we do this, we do this. And they know me, I'm like the worrier. I come in and bring the realistic kind of things like, all right, this is what could happen. I don't know if we should do this. Like I'm always kind of bringing them back, and then we can talk about a little more instead of like pipe dreams. So you have the realistic side, you have the dreamer side, you have you know, the sides that are like, is this feasible? Can we do this? Or is it just like, all right, we just want to be cool and we just want to kind of be like blowing people's minds. So, excuse me, I think you need to have a really good rounded team and not just everybody who are dreamers, not just everybody who are realistic, down to earth. You know what I mean? You really need a good mix of people. And honestly, you need at least one person that knows what they're doing somewhat, whether it's spreadsheets, whether it's talking to people, whether it's negotiating, whether it's, you know, reaching out and talking to talent. You need something like that to start off.
When we started this, and I'm not going to use anyone specific as an example, but I kind of had the most knowledge, like the most all around knowledge that I will give people credit. I learned from other people, and I learned from, you know, watching and learning and what to do, what not to do. And Nikki and Mel came in under, you know, they have their areas. I don't go in their areas, but they're still kind of learning. So they'll come to me and they'll say, well, what do you think about this? And then now they know. Same with everyone else on the team. Like if I wanted to take a back seat one day and say, hey, Jammer, teach me about production. Like I want to learn. You know, that's not where my passion is right now, but you know, I love doing graphics now and I'm not good at it. And so maybe we'll see, maybe one day I'll do something, but
don't say you're not good at
Good.
But all right, let's side note here. Holly has done pretty much almost every single graphic, give or take a few, on our website, on our CloudCon site. I mean, she deserves a lot of props. She came in and taught herself Canva. I mean,
I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. Like, you don't have to. You don't just get Canva. Get Canva Pro. You don't need Photoshop. And Kimmy back here is like cringing. Yes, you do.
You
need
can Photoshop if you want.
But no, it really, like with Rhea, I was like, Rhea, you know, I know what you've done before, but like what do you want to do? You know, you don't want to put people in a position like, hey, we know that you're really good with like this, do it. No, put people where they want to be and teach them. Like it's been a long process the past year, like teaching while also putting on an event. So you can do it. If there's 3 people and you've never done this before, you're going to really need to do some back end research. But if there's one person that's kind of like wants to take the reins and say, okay, look, I know what works, I know what doesn't, and then everything else will kind of, you know, fill in. But the team and the communication, like Mel is the warrior. Like 2 nights ago, she's like, Holly, she's like, I'm getting very, very nervous. And I was like, what are you nervous about? And this is where communication comes in. She's like, what are you getting nervous about? I'm like, she's like, well, we have this starting, it's tomorrow. And like, what this isn't, I was like, Anja has all the schedules taken care of. Don't worry about it. She's like, well, this was about a week ago. She's like, oh, I didn't know she was that far into it. And I was like, Anja's amazing. Like, don't worry about it. And I was like, what else are you worried about? She's like, well, I'm worried about Twitch and I'm worried about like, you know, internet. And I'm like, gee, he's got this. And then she's like, and the auction. And we are behind on the auction. My bad, guys. It's my fault. You know, and I was like, don't worry about it. I was like, as long as people get their one-on-one schedule, as long as people's orders are fulfilled, and as long as we have the panels come up, we are going to be just fine. And she's like, okay. And she's got this like, you know, okay, New York, like, And so things
like, oh, let's add like 10 more guests. And Mel will be like, do we have space for that? Like, are you sure you want to be doing that like right now with a week left until the convention starts?
Oh yeah, it was funny when we were doing QFX East, Mel wanted, well, and I think we all wanted like 5 or 6 guests. And then once I started doing programming, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, we need a lot more guests if we want programming, because a lot of these guests were on the same show. So that's like one panel. I'm like, what are we gonna do the rest of the weekend? So I paint my whole wall. It's a chalkboard wall, and I planned it out. And she's like, oh, okay, all right, we can do that. That's fine. So sometimes people just need to see it, you know.
I needed to see it, because our original conversation was like 10, 12, and then it was like, she was like, well, how about this and that? And then it's slowly growing. And I don't even know what was our final tally before we had to postpone. I don't even remember what it was. Wasn't it like 30 something people?
Mm-hmm. Which we're starting to we'll be re-announcing them after CloudCon, announcing the people coming back and stuff. But But I had something to say, but I forgot. Hey, the
Somebody
second
somebody has a
starts
question.
You got an hour, Nikki, right?
What?
Does the next? Oh, we have to change the movie for tonight. It was going to be But I'm a Cheerleader, which should be required viewing. We're changing it to Better Than Chocolate, I think.
Yes.
For the younger folks that weren't baby gays in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. It's cheesy, but it's kind of cool.
It's very cheesy.
Yeah, there's a really good song in there when they're in the bus. It's like taking a train, dun, dun, and not going in. I can't find that anywhere. If someone can find me that recording, I will pay for it. Anyway, Rhea, talk. Like I'm not gonna talk to you. I'm gonna take everyone outside. And I'm gonna join the alcohol session. I don't drink much anymore, but I'm gonna have a little bit of wine. I'll show y'all my chalkboard too.
Ooh, yes, the chalkboard.
It's a massive chalkboard. See it?
Yep.
What does it say? Oh, it's CloudCon misspelled. And here's my dog. He is our mascot. If you look at him, he's in the little stream. Oh, it's my boy. Okay, back to work. Jamber, Rhea. Questions? Do you want questions?
Sure.
We have a couple.
Yeah, we do.
There have been issues with fans not acting appropriately during one-to-ones in group. How do you handle that? I mean, I guess it depends where it's happening, what's going on, the level of inappropriateness.
I don't know if you guys caught our opening ceremony, but our one-on-ones is going to be the celebrity guest, you, and then a screen for a moderator for one of our staff. So if there's anything inappropriate going on, you're going to get the boot. So don't do that because you're going to be wasting your money.
I'm going to take 15 seconds to answer 3 questions. I have a nice house. My grandma left it to me about 10 years ago, and it took me about 10 years to remodel it. It's very small and very modest, but I do love it because it reminds me of her. Austin was in the running for QFX East. We could not find a venue that was affordable at the time. And Holly, you give me the AGD vibe. So here's the problem with me. I'm very creative, but I'm also very anal. So I can't really stay on track sometimes. And it's a problem, but it's not the worst problem to have.
Wait, for the Austin one though, like you guys know that we're going to be moving. Like that's why it's QFX East. We're going to have QFX West, North, South, whatever. So, I mean, we're not counting Texas out or like Austin out.
Yeah.
Probably going to count California out. I wanted it in LA so bad. I'm from LA, but it's too expensive.
Yeah. I mean, like we said before, it really has to do with venues. It's not so much, the states. I mean, obviously some of it is location, but it's also what we talked about before, what's around it, what the venue gives you, transportation, cost flying people there. I mean, there's a lot.
I live in the Maryland, D.C. area. I live in the northern neck of Virginia. Don't you know? Can't you hear my accent? I don't know where. I don't know if you. Oh, you're in Rockville. I'm about an hour and a half from Rockville. Well, 2 hours maybe. I don't know. It just depends.
I grew up in Rockville.
Yeah, Jill grew up in Rockville.
I believe this is Tay, person that we helped with Rockville. Someone said they feel like I have ADD. So here's the thing. I have anxiety. I do have anxiety. I've had it for about 10 years. Diagnosed for 10 years. So I don't have ADD, and if I did, that would be fine. I'm anxious. That's all. And I'm a smoker, and I haven't had a cigarette since we've been on this for 2.5 hours, or is it 1 hour? Oh no, we started this earlier. Anyway, that's why, and that's why I'm going outside. Okay. Any other con related questions?
Yeah. So her download speed before she bought her router was 12 Mbps.
No, Nikki.
Mbps.
It was 0.5.
Yeah.
It was
What?
0.5.
You said it was just 5.
Now it's
No, it was 0.5 upload speed. My download speed was like 1.5.
Mine's at 75.
Can you guys imagine having a download speed of 45 Mbps? I would be so upset.
Yes, 1.5. Yes, so I actually went to AT&T. It took about 40 or 4 hours, sorry. Hang on. I always do this. Let me turn this up. Yeah. It took about 4 hours, and I have 75 upload speed and like 12 download, and I've been so happy. Like, I can't even explain to you guys. Like,
She
it's
was
just,
like, I got internet. Let's go. I'm staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, woo.
yeah, it's, yeah. But
Oh,
yeah,
there,
go
there
ahead.
was a question I think that was missed.
Oh,
It says, are there still guests and tickets to be announced?
for QFX East or for QFX CloudCon?
I'm assuming CloudCon.
Well, we can answer both of them. Nikki, you don't know?
Yeah.
I know, like, we're already in CloudCon, but if something came up tomorrow and we could announce tomorrow, we'd probably fit them in somewhere. So I don't want to say yes, that's all the yes, but I don't want to say yes, we're adding more, because it's always up in the air. You know, you gotta kind of, it's contracts, it's agents, there's a lot of things that go into like guest announcements. Like, we'll have scheduled posts and then not get like contracts in or graphics in, and then we'll have to push, and we'll push for like
Oh.
and then all of a sudden we get it and we don't have time to schedule something, and we'll just post it without like talking to the rest of the team, and they're like, wait, what's happening, what's going on, you just announced somebody, and we're like, yeah, sorry, we just got this and we had to put it out because we've been waiting for a week already. So you know, we might have a surprise guest or two pop up, we might not. It's a surprise to us too.
Yeah, I agents. That's all I'm gonna say is agents. But honestly, there are two that we work with, especially, and they know who they are. I'm not gonna name them. They are the unsung heroes sometimes of these conventions, and they are amazing to work with. And if they see this, you know who we're talking about. Yeah, yeah. But for QFX East, we are in the process of confirming or reconfirming the current guest list we had, and then adding more to that if people have to drop out for whatever reason. And then the other thing I will mention about QFX East, and this is just something from the organizer side, we haven't talked about it as a team. I haven't put anything down on paper, but we're already thinking about how to incorporate like a minimum or a maximum, like a smaller maximum capacity on the floor for social distancing. We might have to shift, instead of a 3-day event, maybe a 4-day event with only, 500 people a day. We just don't know yet, but that is just something on the organizer side. If you're thinking about doing anything brick and mortar, like, you need to plan for what is now the different way of life, I guess.
Yep. So I guess a final call for like questions and stuff.
Domcat 2020, she said, I know it's the first day, but would y'all do one against once we get back to some sort of normal, mostly for us that can't get away for a con week? I will say that what we called normal was never normal. Clearly, that's just something that we should recognize. But I'll let Mel take the rest. I just want to say that normal wasn't working before, like in all aspects of life. So just that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna mute or put a thingy on for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I guess ditto to what Holly said, and also, to become more accessible to people who can't make it to brick and mortar conventions. We've learned a lot doing this, and I definitely see this becoming kind of a regular QFX events thing, whether it's a kind of all-in-one con like this or specific cons. Don't count us out for that.
Mm-hmm. And I would also say to that is that the reason that I'm going off screen is because I'm having a cigarette, and that's just a bad habit, and it's ugly. I would also say that when brick and mortar conventions come back, there might be it might be hybrid, where we have a day blocked out for guests to fulfill virtual things. But I also think that long term, and this is a team discussion, not just the directors, but everyone involved with QFX, we should maybe think about, once we do this a few times, it's going to become so easy for us to do that we could maybe have weekend get-togethers for people, without the guests. I know that the guest portion of it is what drives a lot of things, but we still have to remember that this is community and there are things that we can learn from each other. There are a lot of aspects under the queer umbrella that we really need to educate each other on. So I definitely think that this could become a normal thing, and even having like basically free events, without the celebrity aspect of it. So, yes to all of the above. It's only the first day and we're excited. We might have a different answer later in the week though. I'm just kidding. Rhea, Jill, Amber, Nikki.
I'm down.
Sign me up.
Oh, for that? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I was like, what was the question?
We have about 20 minutes left. If you guys want to ask any other questions, like if you want to ask specific questions, suggestions, concerns, what we're not doing well, like give us criticism if you have anything for us. Like we want to do good. We want to be better. If we're not meeting, everyone's, we want to make events for everyone. And as much as this event is like amazing to put on, like it's not truly for everyone. Like right now, this panel, like we don't have our ASL interpreter here because this was an on the fly panel. So like I have bugs out here. I'm so sorry. So like, give us your critiques. We actually welcome them. We're not
above criticism.
The only way we can get better is with criticism, is with concerns and questions. And, that's another thing that if you're going to do this, you need to make sure that it's not about having a thick skin. It's about being open to learning and being open to growth.
Yeah.
Oh, someone said
Like any feedback
sweet.
is something to learn from.
What's that?
Any feedback is something to learn from.
Mm-hmm. Good or bad, like we love it that people like love how responsive we are, but we are so responsive because anytime we have anywhere from 2 to 5 people on social media while someone else is in emails, while someone else is, monitoring emails. We have like, it's just, you've got to have a lot of time for this. You like really do.
So somebody asked, what is your favorite thing about planning events?
I'm going to go last.
I like the adrenaline of it. I like kind of the deadlines. I like at the actual brick and mortar convention, I like running around. I like solving problems. I like meeting a whole bunch of people. The celebrity aspect is really very, very minor for me. It's I've done some conventions that I don't know. I'm not I don't watch the shows or anything. I like the community. I like the environment. Working a convention is very different than attending one, and I'm sure everybody here can attest to that. It's really like nothing else. And if you volunteered at a convention, that's a it's a good kind of segue into it. But a lot goes on. That's my favorite part. I love it.
Rhea.
I was trying to say who's gonna go next. I love the people. Working with the teams. It makes me feel like we're actually there convention weekend and hanging out, running around, acting like a blur in the convention and doing what we need to do in our own little spaces, but also making time to just breathe. And but also like the planning, like all the planning, like Mel said, the deadlines and like every little thing that we do. Like I just tell myself like this is just a small piece of the puzzle because in the end it's gonna turn into this amazing thing. And I hope we just make everyone proud. And they want to be here just as much as we do. Yeah.
Dang, how do you top that?
Can
I use your answer?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's also like I love puzzles, and like just planning anything live is putting puzzle pieces together and then hoping that they stay together once it actually happens. And that's always like been fun for me, just like figuring out how things work together, how things are gonna flow. And obviously the people are really cool too, I guess.
And a kiss?
Oh.
Planning.
Yeah, I
don't
think
like-
Go ahead.
I don't like planning events.
There's always one.
There's always one.
Okay, well, that was I I will say, yes. Okay, Caitlin, I'll get to you in a second, or we will get to you in a second. For Kimmy, thus far has been learning things, working with new people, and pushing my limits, knowing I have a team behind me that will always have my back. Yes. Oh, cute dog. Yes, he's my baby, my fur baby. Uh-oh, my trusty router just fell. Okay, we're all good. Got to keep it next to the window. I'm in a rural area. I've always liked planning events. I did my mom's 50th birthday party, and it was Beatles themed, and everyone got a lanyard, and everyone had to dress. Well, no, we didn't do that, but instead of singing Happy Birthday, we sang All You Need Is Love, and like it's. I just always love planning events, but CluxCon 2018, girl came up to me, and I've always kind of just I love to talk to people, and I talk to people. You know, you can find me on Facebook, and I'll become your friend, and I'll talk your ear off. But she came up to me, and she told me this story, and to this day, I will never forget it. She trigger warning, content warning. Just she had told me she had been couple of years, or I guess couple 2 years before, she had been assaulted, and she had a son that she adores now that she came out of it, but she had spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on signatures all weekend from, you know, Sarah Shahi and Zoe Palmer and Kyler and all these people. And she came up to me after everything ended, and she said, Holly, she said, you know, I am here today because of this event, and will you please sign my poster? I wanted you to be the last person to sign it. And I am not anyone, I will never think that I'm anyone special. I just like to put on events, but knowing that putting a team together and making a difference in someone's life to the point where it's between them going forward in life and not, was just the most, it had so much impact on me. And everything that we do as a team, like we all kind of, I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever had that happen to them, like Nikki or Mel or anyone else on this chat, but it impacted me in a way that I don't think I will never not do events, or never not try to go above and beyond for, you know, someone, or answer their question, even if I'm dead tired. It's just making an impact, making a positive impact on people's lives. People come from all over these chats. I mean, they're all over, from all over the world. They don't have a support system. They don't have you know, the families that some of us do. They don't have supportive members of their community to lift them up. And so they need each other. And that's why these events are so important. And that's why we want to do such a good job pivoting to the virtual world, because it's still needed. And it's really sometimes a matter of life or death. So I just, that's making that difference and doing it with a team that I genuinely adore and love is just, it's just the best feeling in the world. So look, I told that story without crying. Oh my goodness. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah, it's similar for me. I mean, Holly, you said, I don't know if anyone else in here like relates to that in that particular way, but like, you're kind of describing producing, which is what I do.
Mhm.
And for me, you know, I was an editor first, and doing that job, I wasn't sure how I could help people. I've always wanted to help people in some way. I didn't know, like, I love editing, but I didn't know how that would really help people. And when I got into producing, you know, produced this web series, and a couple people saw it, you know, and came up to me and some of my team afterwards and were crying, kind of just saying like, thank you so much for this content, for doing this. And it was like, it just hit me like, that's why, like, this is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I relate strongly to what you're saying. Like, if we can do it, why wouldn't we do it? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure everyone agrees in this chat and stuff like that, but that really resonated with me right now, just because I've talked about it before, but no one has like openly said, at least openly, or had a similar experience or like voiced that. So I just wanted to share that it's very similar for me. I mean, this is my first like convention, like convention team, but it's very similar to a production crew.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We did have earlier, real quick, criticism I have is some things are really last minute. Like I signed up for QFX without a specific time. I got an email 15 minutes before it started that I was doing it. It didn't really matter for me though, because I have no life and I'm unemployed. Yes, you do have a life. You were here with us, but it might be for other people. You were doing great though. Yes, that was last minute and I will take full responsibility for that. There are bandwidth. Sometimes the human bandwidth is a little less than we think it is. And the great thing is we're going to try to open up more sessions for more people. And hopefully that won't happen to other people that happen to you. But you do have a life and you're here with us. And we hope that you're able to get back on your feet with employment soon. Since QFX was postponed to next year, will the volunteer opportunity be presented again? Also, thank you for doing this. Mel.
Yeah.
Also, Jamber, love you. That was awesome.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, as soon as we start reconfirming guests and moving forward into reorganizing all the logistics for 2021, there will be volunteer opportunities. We are going to give kind of the first dibs to the ones who already have signed up and who say they can return in 2021, but I already know, I deal with volunteers also, so I do know that there are a fair amount that are not able to join us again. So we will have, the volunteer application open up probably sometime in like October or November. You can fill it out and we will definitely have a place for you.
I also wanted to, Jamber's gonna get upset with me. So so we have on our website, we wanted initially to put together to our theme song, which is Cut to the Feeling by Carly Rae Jepsen. We have licensed it legally, anyone watching. We wanted to put together a virtual pride parade, but we announced this prior to a lot of the very important movement work that's been going on. So we haven't been promoting that we're doing it because we wanted to make sure the priority was to the movement and not necessarily to, being so happy, because it's a very happy song. However, we still would like to put something together. Initially, we wanted everyone to kind of dance around lip syncing the song. If you want to do that, the directions are on the website. If you go to the register page, you'll see Pride Parade and it'll give you the parameters. But in lieu of being happy and stuff, because we know it's a really hard time to be happy right now, especially as people from the United States. We have a lot of things going on here that need to be addressed daily. If you want to send in a handwritten note or a picture of yourself with, anything, your parents, if they're supportive, a peace sign, anything that you want that might represent, what pride is to you. This is maybe, we were going to release it on Monday. This is maybe something that we can push to the following week or month, or we will figure it out, but it's something we want to put together for the community. We would love to receive something from you. And I just wanted to remind people that is something we're doing. You don't need to dance. But Rhea, do you have anything to say to that? Nikki, anyone?
Thought about doing one. Might just send in a picture. We'll see. I'm trying to convince my roommate to do the video with me.
Kimmy, our lovely production master guru for this stream, sprained her ankle doing a choreographed routine with her wife. So I think it might be a little if you don't, but we're not going to force anyone. It's really difficult to, I don't want to, be redundant, but we wanted submissions by the 11th. It's the 22nd, and Jamber are the people that they're the lovely, wonderful folks doing it. But it's not something that we initially need a deadline for at this point. It's something we want to do, but within the right parameters to be respectful to the current events of the world and country. So
Yes. Somebody wrote they are very impressed and happy with our transparency.
Yeah,
that was big for us starting this.
Yeah.
That was the number one thing we wanted to portray.
Portray.
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, look, you can anyone can do an event, and anyone can make money. That's not really what this right now is about. In the future, we would love to be able to say, hey, we created jobs for the community and we were able to do something that's meaningful. But right now, like, if you want to do this because you want to be around celebrities, or you want to do this because you want to make a lot of money, you can do it, but you should not do things for the community if you want to be genuine about it. And also, like, we felt really bad charging for trivia, but we did it because we have to pay out of pocket for the games, and paying moderators and things like that people will do for free, but they shouldn't have to, and that's also really important. I do want to say, like, if you are reaching out to people to be part of something, whether it's a panelist, moderator, do not expect people to give their time for free. People will offer it, but it's not something that you should you should not make that standard practice.
I think also that we should touch on it's good to have like featured panels and like celebrity panels, and obviously we know that's a big job, but you should really highlight and like promote the smaller panels that people are submitting to, because these are people that are coming to you that are willing to give their time and not charge for content for the community. They're not like gay for pay people. They're like truly people that are in our community that want to host like panels or open discussions for more other people that are in the community. And we should really, I think, support them by, attending or tuning in without the incentive like of a celebrity guest popping in or whatnot.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna represent my favorite basketball team before we sign off. Erper 101 thanked us for opening up another weed trivia. Yeah, that went a little faster than we thought.
It did. I mean, and I see somebody saying we should have charged 10. Like Holly said, it's not about the money. It's about a fun thing. Like, we're literally just covering costs. Like, we want to offer this so it's a little more competitive, with the prizes. And I highly urge everyone to buy the other trivia tickets too. It's going to be fun. There's cool prizes for every single one. Plus that grand
prize. These are
prize.
not easy questions either, so y'all better be ready.
It is not easy questions. I did the questions for almost every single trivia. They are not easy. So
ready, Mel.
Which one are you playing?
Against my girlfriend for killing you. Do it.
You doing Buffy?
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's my jam too. I mean, I have Buffy tattoos and everything. So
yeah,
Buffy's the hardest quiz. You guys screwed up.
So I have a photographic memory, so I'm hoping that somewhere in there it might help.
And she might have just watched the season again, or the whole
Fair
series.
enough.
we do have a 3-minute warning, but I want to say real quick, what Nikki was saying about the smaller panels, like, and we do still have some guests that are going to be announced, but these guests are not going to be, unfortunately, people look at certain guests as like, oh, these are the ones I want. There are so many amazing guests that we have that you can still buy tickets for, to chat about how to learn how to produce things, how to direct, where to get started, how to, and most of these people, it's going to either go to their crowdfunding or it's going to go back into the community. So, when you get a chance, like, go through, I'm not trying to sell tickets right now, but go through and see the options that we have now that the people that are sold out are sold out, and maybe consider looking into some of these other people.
Yeah, and a lot of
Because they are members of the community that work very hard. So yeah, it's we have a lot of great people, and we have more to add. So
I want to talk to you guys.
yeah, Amber's one of them. She's a producer, so if you want to learn how to produce,
a lot of people are putting their proceeds to charities.
look, Mel said, "Don't get into a long chat, Holly." Look, I was good with that.
Gotta rein her in. We gotta rein her in. All right, we're gonna kind of head out. But
We have a minute and 30 seconds left. I'm looking at it.
And you're gonna take like a minute of that.
I'm not gonna say anything else. Y'all wrap it up. I'm not gonna say. It was very wonderful chatting with you guys. Thank you for your questions. I'm gonna let everyone else say goodbye as well and not take over.
So yeah, I mean, check out all the other things. We got Podcasting 101. There's the Killing Eve Roundtable. There is a whole bunch of other panels to look into. Come to the movie nights. I was moderating it before the first movie was Deb's. There was some great conversation going on. Everybody was talking about scenes that they liked. I mean, it was a really good kind of
look at this one.
open discussion. And yeah, I mean, somebody asked real quick, I just want to address it before we leave, if trivia is going to be able to be watched. Unfortunately not, because the program we're using, everyone who's in the room has access to the program. So, but we are going to record it, and as long as everyone agrees, we will post it so you can watch it.
Cool.
And that's, yeah, okay, so that's pretty much it for me. Anybody else say goodbye?
Yeah, man. Tune into our panels. It's going to be a good time. Small panels, featured panels, movie nights, trivia, roundtables. It'll be a good time. I mean,
DM us about cast not working for you. We'll try to figure it out. DM us, and yeah, we'll get Mel's the guru on that. That's all.
I couldn't get in either. You're not alone.
There's always tech difficulties. I'll work on it, I promise.
Thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you.
We will be around. DM us if you want, and Kimmy, you can go ahead and
take us out.
Everyone,
cheers.
Thanks,
love
everyone.
y'all. Bye.